Before we start this episode of the 5-Minute Call, just a quick note from us to explain that the episode you're about to listen to was recorded in March 2024 when Thomas was about to go into rehearsals for Hamilton in London. At the time of release, Thomas is recovering from a knee injury, so isn't on stage at the moment. We're all wishing him a speedy recovery so he can get back on stage doing what he loves. This conversation with Thomas was so incredibly insightful. We really, really hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the 5-Minute Call, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the stories of the people that make theatre happen.
Today we're talking to Thomas Vernal, an actor with an incredible journey from the streets of Birmingham to the bright lights of the West End stage.
Thomas shares his powerful story of his early days as an R&B singer touring with major artists, overcoming adversity, discovering his passion for performing arts, and working on major productions like The Book of Mormon and Hamilton.
Members of the company, this is your 5-minute call. All beginners, please make your way to the stage. This is your 5-minute call. Your 5-minute call.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We are all about people's stories on this podcast, and we would really love to know how you got started. What's your story? What's your beginnings in theatre?
First and foremost, I'm grateful for being here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you both.
Thank you.
My story is very different to the traditional route. I never grew up in theatre. I was like a what they would call in America a jock. Sports was everything. So all I really knew, sports and music. Growing up in a deprived area in Birmingham, all you kind of knew was either sports, like football, athletics, whatever. I was one of the first pioneers of music, like doing music, like R&B, and especially as a male singer. And so for me, like, I do like school plays and community workshops and stuff. But I first got into theatre properly. I think I got called in to do like a short film for something. And then someone asked me to do like a community play. And I was like, I kind of like this. And then I had a secret love for it for years. And I was like, I'd like to kind of do it again. And life went by. And one day I had a decision to make. I was going to enroll back into the army. And then I was like, no, I want to give acting a try. And then I had an opportunity. I was looking for drama schools, and everyone was like, no, you're too late. You have to apply for next year. And I'm like, when I want to do something, I'm doing it now. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm going to find somewhere now. And there was a course that was like 80% practical, 20% theory. Perfect. I was like, who wants to write? The Arden School of Theatre in Manchester. I went in, I think I had 2 auditions, which I cancelled just out of being scared. Just thought I wasn't good enough for it, because for years I'd sang and toured with a lot of US and UK artists, had deals and stuff, but acting was a different ball game. But yeah, I went in for the audition the 3rd time and I was accepted on the spot. And then that was it. That was the start of my theatre journey. Yeah.
There's so much to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack there. You left us a lot of crumbs there. Yeah.
There's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
So being a kid and being into music, did you have friends who were into that as well?
No, actually. Music was just a thing in our household. My dad from Jamaica, mum and dad are from Jamaica. Dad used to sing and write in Jamaica. It's funny because we discovered some of his songs on YouTube, 2 of his songs on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
That he wrote with my uncle, rest his soul. So it was just one of those things coming from a household with so many brothers, or should I say so many siblings. Music was just always just playing, whether it was lovers rock, reggae. My brother Tim, he's like my right hand man. He introduced me to hip hop. So Tupac was like my favorite artist, is my favorite artist of all time. And then we used to sing in school choir and stuff, and at church. Can't forget, that's where I grew up, in church, and learned to sing. But when I started embracing R&B and my voice was when I heard Casey and JoJo on a song called Toss It Up with Tupac. Don't go and research this one. Parental advisory. And I was just like, my ear just went, what's that? Like runs and harmonies.
Yeah.
And then I researched Casey and JoJo and realized they were in a group called Jodeci. And I just went down a rabbit hole of R&B and soul. And, but we knew about Michael Jackson. I just had a flashback then of us like in front of the TV watching Motown 25, socks on our hands because we didn't have gloves, pretending we were Michael. Holding broomsticks and then holding a pencil on top, and we were just doing routines. And so, like music was just in the house. Had a brother who was a part of Basement Jaxx, the music group. He had songs out, a cousin that was in Mystique, and then my cousin's cousin. Just all around the family, they were in like Cleopatra and just loads of things. So it wasn't direct to me, but it was around. It was around. Right. And I think just being in a Caribbean family, just music is just every Sunday morning when Mum's cooking, there's music playing. And so that's it.
So it wasn't hard. I know some young boys find it hard to engage with music because it's not seen as cool. It's not the thing that the other guys are doing. But it sounds like you had that protective factor at home of this is just what people do.
Yeah, I think Birmingham has a massive diverse community. And a lot of it is a big base of it is Caribbean. So where we used to live in the Grove, you would hear music all the time anyway. But stepping out as an artist or as a singer, it was never done because of that whole thing of where we lived, who we were associated with. The image of being a man or a young boy and singing wasn't cool because it was seen as like, oh, that's a female thing to do. Singing's like, I think I was one of the first to step out at the time and do it. But I think it worked because I was people say I was a bit of a bad boy. I wouldn't say I was a bit of a bad boy. I'd say I was just mischievous. But it kind of had the antithesis, the image of being who I am and who I was known as, and then having this soft, sweet voice. So it kind of worked. And then I kind of started playing on that and being like, how the Jodecis were and how the 90s bad boy American singers were. So, that's how it kind of worked for me.
You mentioned having been on tour with artists. How do we go from kind of coming out as a singer at school and then into that?
I was a solo artist for a little while. Before, to be fair, before that, because I was getting into a lot of trouble. I was getting into a lot of trouble on the streets with the police. The guys that I was with, it was like, a group of friends. People call it a crew, whatever. But to be honest, I was in a crew, a gang. Don't like the word gang. They were more like family. We were friends, but it's society that would label us as a gang. But then when you start getting into things, you start realizing this isn't what society, this is why society gives us that label. But I met these guys that took me under their wing, two guys called Dan and Nigel. They had a studio called Narnia Studios in another area, which I didn't like to go to, which is right across the road from where my older brother lived. But because I was from over this way, I was like, nah, I don't want to go there. But my brother was known as well. He was very much like, nah, it's fine. And they took me under their wing. They was like, you've got a talent there. And I used to do like little talent shows here and there. And I was the guy that would, so soppy, the guy that would sing slow jams in a talent show when everybody was rapping. I'd give out flowers, I'd take my top off because I used to do athletics at the time. So I was quite chiseled. And so awful. And they picked up on that. And I entered a competition called Urban Voice, which was here in London. And Island Records were behind it, were a part of it. And I won the whole competition, and I got nominated for 3 out of 4 awards. I won 3 out of the 4 awards. And then from then, I was supposed to sign a deal with Ireland. But the day I was supposed to sign the deal, I ended up going to prison. The setting Friday the 13th of December. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
A real Friday the 13th.
A real Friday the 13th. Yeah. But it was crazy because I just believed that it wasn't meant for me. That wasn't my time. And I believed that it was a lesson. And God was saying to me, as talented as you are, you now need to sit down and reflect. That's what I believe. Yeah, but while I was in there, did a lot of growing. I was working with the Prince's Trust. I even put on, they were amazing. And I even put on a concert whilst I was inside, alongside the Prince's Trust. And then when I came out, again, doing more concerts here and there, community concerts. And my little brother, Ryan, he's amazing. He was on The Voice as well for a little bit. He wanted to sing. I didn't realize he had this amazing voice while I was away. He was just leveling up, and so we got together and we did some shows, and everyone was like, "You guys are the British Casey and Jojo." So that was like amazing. This is exactly where we started, and then we started doing shows, and then we had local sponsorships from like well-known clothing stores, designers wanting to sponsor us, and then a guy who was our manager at the time took us on, and he did a lot of promotions. So when artists would come over, he'd put us on as a supporting act. So we opened for a famous American group called Jagged Edge. We opened for Jagged Edge 3-4 times. One stage they got booed off, and everyone was chanting for me and my brother again. Yeah, it was terrible. So we've done Jagged Edge, and then we did Bobby Valentino, Kanye West's After Party. They opened for 50 Cent. We opened for 50 Cent. Tyrese, the actor, we opened for so many. Amy Winehouse, rest her soul. So we did that when we did MTV, did this thing called Hugo Urban Rules. And we won that competition. And we had Sony interested. So we had a lot of things. So from that, it just knock on.
Huge life change.
Yeah. Massive.
How was that?
It's like taking like 4 cans of Red Bull and 4 Pro Plus at the same time. It just hits you, and you're just like, because you're still growing. Because I was early 20s, and Ryan was he's still in college, to be fair. So we're touring, going on tour buses, and he's seeing this lifestyle of the girls and the parties, and we're landing back in Birmingham, and he has to go to school or college, and then we got a show that same night, so we're leaving Birmingham, going to wherever we're going to. It was an experience. We had a manager at the time. She's like our big sister. Her name's Justice Williams. She's an amazing woman. She's got an MBE, and she's done so much for our community, and she was managing us for a while, and just trying to set things up as a business, because beforehand it was just, we're going to jump on the tour bus, we're going to go and perform. And at the time, we just wanted to perform, but we didn't realize we were getting exploited. We weren't earning money, but we were putting bums on seats. And Justice came in and she was like, no, it needs structure. So we're going to open a business account. This is the contracts that people are going to sign, all these little things. And we was just like, this is amazing. This is what should be done. Yeah, this is what should be done. But also, I also take into consideration, at the same time of doing the music life, and, my brother was still growing. So he was looking up to me, because there's 4 years between us. He's still looking up to me, but I was still living my life outside of the music, having to survive with a group of men that I was leading. And my brother and I, while still in the group, fell out. Really fell out. We were living in the same house. We would wake up in the morning, we'd fight, like fist fight. Literally, my mom was like, and everybody says, he's your twin. Like, he looks like me. Like, you lot are so much alike. That's why it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I would try to say, be careful with that, and he wouldn't like that. Be careful with those friends, he wouldn't like that. And also because I was paranoid, very paranoid, living the life I was living, and being where I'd been, seeing what I'd seen, I didn't trust anybody. I didn't even trust my own mother at one point. But yeah, we would turn up. I would turn up with about 15 men. He would turn up with his men, and we'd come to venues together, massive entourage. We wouldn't talk. We just get on the stage. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? Yeah. All right, cool. Let's do it. And then we'll go home.
How do you find performing with that atmosphere and that pressure?
If I'm honest, if I'm to be totally honest, it hurt. Yeah. It hurt because that's my little brother. That's my baby brother. But also the person I was at the time, I didn't care. Because I'm about business. These people have come to see us. We're headlining. Let's just do the job. We don't need to speak. But it still hurt because even when I would turn up and I'd be like 15, 20 guys and they'd be like, where's your brother? Don't care, he'll be here. But all the other people were like, nah, we need to find him because he's not here. And he's like, he'll be like, he's outside, he's having a smoke before he comes in. Because we always used to have our rituals that we used to do together. Like I would like to have a little drink before I go on and he'd like to have a smoke. And then we'd just go on and do our thing. But then it just became really like cold, like really cold. Even when we won the MTV competition and we opened for Amy Winehouse, we weren't even talking then. But on the cameras, on MTV, you'd never know. Yeah. You never know. And I think it's a very Caribbean thing to keep your they say keep your dirty laundry hidden. No one needs to know what's going on. So yeah, it was tough, fun, but very, very tough because it's not just a mate. We come from the same mother, same father, shared the same womb, live in the same house. Like it was different. Yeah.
It's also a performer's instinct, isn't it? It's, that we still got to put the show on.
It's a performer's instinct.
Yeah.
And I feel like my whole life has been a performance because I'm so private and I'm so protective of me, of my family and my loved ones. And everyone around me, they always say, they're like, you always jump for everybody. But who jumps for you? My mom's always like, you're loyal, but you're loyal to a fault. She says, that's the reason why. She always says, that's the reason why you ended up where you ended up. Because we had a conversation. I says, Mom, the boys want me to go out tonight. I just don't feel like going. Everyone's phoning me. And her last words were to me, son, if you don't feel like going, don't go. Follow your heart and don't go. And then I got a phone call about something to midnight. He's kicking off. We need you. I'll be there. And that's why I ended up where I ended up. Because if I'd stayed indoors, whatever else happened after that happened. But if I'd stayed indoors, there wouldn't have been a knock on. And so it's all my own fault. But I'm always at the front. I don't know why. I can't help it. If someone says it's hot, I'm going to be like, don't believe them. Let me check it. But I feel like what I went away for as a teen was so silly and minor in comparison to what I was or could possibly have been getting into. Because things didn't change, even growing up, things didn't change after that. They kind of simmered down, but I think I was a lot more, things got a lot more intense after that because I didn't trust anybody, because I didn't trust the people who were my friends, in inverted commas. I had money and my money was stolen. Little things, and I'm like, those were my friends, people I call friends. So I became very, very paranoid, very hyper aware of everything and everyone.
Very tiring.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Do you feel like you learn a lot from that hyper awareness? Because it strikes me that if you're constantly alert and analysing everything and looking at everything and studying everything, that there would be things that would stick with you. Where I'm eventually getting to is ultimately did that aid in things like characterizations of performance, and later along, have you used any of that in your acting? Obviously, we're jumping ahead quite a bit, but I think, I don't know, I'm wondering.
Yeah, I have. It's so funny because I remember one of my acting tutors, Marie Critchley, she's an amazing actress, amazing tutor. She once said to me, she was like, because I would do it so much, it would stress me out, and I'd like hyperventilate when I'm in like classes. And I remember we was here in Piccadilly. Is it Piccadilly Circus? The theatre. There's a theatre by Spotlight next door to Spotlight. Is it Leicester Square? Leicester Square Theatre.
Okay.
And we had our showcases there. And because I knew the magnitude of the industry and wanting an agent, I started looking around and looking in the room and over-analysing everything. Right. Is that an agent? That's not an agent. Why are there no agents here? Who's here? Who's from where? And I just started like stressing because I'm like, I'm a man with 2 kids. I've gone straight. I've been straight for a while now. All my security companies, I don't have them no more. I'm not doing bodyguarding. I'm in my head. I'm like, this is all I have now.
Yeah.
And I just started panicking. She looked at me. She was like, do what you do, but leave yourself alone. And I didn't get what she meant by leaving yourself alone, but now I do. It's that same thing of, I can do what I do, but don't I overdo things sometimes. Like I need to know everything about everyone. I need to know why is that cup there? Why is it turned? Why is the handle that way? It doesn't, who cares? That's what I'm starting to learn. Like,
yeah,
who cares? Like, because all that does is it just creates a little monster inside, and it's a spiral. It's a spiral for me. I'm a weirdo, aren't I?
You are not. You are
not at all. I'm actually, you're sitting there talking, I'm thinking, geez, there's so many parallels with things that I've obviously experienced in my life. But yeah, you are not at all weird.
No,
not at all.
So how does the journey out of that part of your life happen?
I think when out of there, funny enough, I was sent an open audition to join a boy band.
Nice.
Thanks, Aaron. And do you remember Blue?
Yeah.
It was Blue's management, or people that used to work with Blue. And it was on, I think, is it Capital now? It used to be called Galaxy. Choice FM. It used to be called Choice FM. And they were doing a national search for 5 guys to be in an R&B group. And I was just like, it's corny. So I don't want to do this, man. I was on tag at the time as well. And a friend of mine was like, go there at the Villa ground. And I was like, and me being a big Villa fan, I was like, all right, I'll go just so I can get in the stadium, in the back part of the stadium that you can't get into. And the audition was from 9 till 5 or 9 till 6? 9 till 6. I turned up at 5:30. Turned up, and the guys, and they had producers, like big producers that were on the panel. And then he was like, what's your name? Said my name's like, where you from? I was like, I'm here, from here. He's like, wait, attitude you, haven't you? It was like that, because I didn't really care. Yeah. He's like, I'll never forget this. He's like, so why are you late? We started at 9 o'clock and you're at, like, when we're about to close. He says, I'm here, and and he's like, what? He says, why? No, that's not a reason. Why are you late? I said, I had to go and get a trim. I had to get a haircut. And he was like, just sing. What are you going to sing? And I sang, and they were all like this. And I was like, can you sing something else? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, sing something else, but with a rhythm. So, because I was originally sang it, doing all the riffs and runs and trills. He was like, can you sing in rhythm though? And I sang, and he was like, okay. Can you leave the room for us? I was like, yeah. So I've walked back in, and he's like, okay, we're going to be in touch, okay? It's like, cool. And then from that, it just went on, and I moved to London. I was in a group with 5 guys, 5 amazing guys. And we were doing auditions down at, is it Hoskies? In Shepherd's Bush, there's a rehearsal studio that artists used to use. And they had labels come in and so on and so forth. And so I was tied to them for a while. But along that way, I started meeting a lot of great producers and writers. And I guess they just took to me because I was just me. Like, I wasn't into the glitz and the glamour and all the foolishness. I was just like, I just want to sing. I just want to sing. That's it. Like, I want a way out. I don't want to go back to what I know. That's it. And then we was recording. And it's funny enough because our first 2 songs, they were all unreleased because the group disbanded after a while, were written by Neo, before Neo was even an artist. And we recorded those. And then the group disbanded. They wanted to take me solo. And then I don't know what happened. I think I got tired. I got tired of being messed around. And obviously not knowing I was Nero, I was just like, I like to know what's going on. So after a while, I was like, I don't care. And then I ended up going back to Birmingham, back into the trenches, doing what I was doing. And then my brother and I started like really working, doing things like putting out mixtapes. My dad would buy us CD burner. My dad would go to the music shop, Sound Control, buy us what we needed. Just so my family had to do not come from. I'm sure he was in my head. I was like, my dad's got to deal with these people because stuff is going on because there's equipment all the time. But me, no, obviously he was probably getting loans from the bank just to help us, or like credit or whatever it was. Like a lot of artists that have made it or come through Birmingham, grime and hip hop artists used to always come and record at my mum's house. So that's where they used to come to. Yeah. And we used to do, and I remember watching this thing. And I says to my brother, I was like, we need to flood the streets. Like, and I says to him, think of what we do in business, transferable skills. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, marketing, product. You've got to think like that. So he's like, all right, cool. So every time we had £5, we'd go and buy 100 CDs. So go buy 100 CDs, and myself, my brother, a few of we made like a collective, kind of like a Soul Solid. And then what we'd do is made a whole album of using people's instrumentals, and we'd burn these CDs and we'd just write on them, handwriting on them, and we'd go to town and give them out for free. I remember watching this documentary on Jay-Z and Dame Dash, Rockefeller, and they said what they used to do was they used to go to venues, 15, 20 men deep. They'd go to the bouncer and say to the don't do this, by the way. They go to the bouncer and they'd be like, yo, we're performing tonight. And they'd be like, who are you? And they would say our names, such and such, such as this is all of us. And he's like, nah, you're not on the list. Be like, all right, where's the manager? I'd be like, if you don't let us in, we're going to make our way in. This is the CD, give it to the DJ. And the DJ would play the version that we've made. And the vibe and response in the club was like, and it's exactly what Dame Dash and Jay-Z used to do. Yeah. We followed that model. Right. And I remember the first time we did it, we did Leicester Carnival. We went there and we says to the guy, main stage, massive. Says to the guy, you want to perform? He's like, who are you? It's like, don't worry about who we are. Just let us perform. And he's like, nah, can't. There's no slots. It's like, bro, the stage is empty. Let us perform. He's like, can't do it. So my other mate jumped the fence, and he's gone to the back of the sound desk, and he's just like, all he does is held the wires. And I says, you see my man over there? And he was like, he's like, all right. You could do one song. It's like, all right, cool, we'll do one song. But it was a song that was in Birmingham that was popping. Underground radio was playing it. So we did it. And after we did the song, the stage, everyone came from everywhere. And the stage was just surrounded. Promoter, can you do 2 more songs? Can you do 2 songs? So that was our thing. Yeah. That was just our thing, man. And after that, I think that's what led into me and Ryan becoming like who we are and where we've been. And then, like my little brother became a dad early. At 16, he became a dad, which was a lot for him. So we stepped back. Yeah, and then I came out of that and just kind of went back home. In this time I had my eldest daughter, and I was like, I need to do something now. And then kind of just went down the security route.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I made a good living in security for a while. So
A complete change of life.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy, right? My stories, I told you, it's so unconventional.
No, but
It's so brilliant.
It's genuinely
Yeah.
so inspiring for a
Yeah.
start to hear your journey.
So then security,
Yeah.
but performance keeps bubbling,
Yeah, performances were still...
knocking at your door.
Yeah, they were. I'd lost all confidence.
Mm.
I lost my confidence. I'd lost my voice. I'd lost my identity. And I just went for something that was easy, something that I knew. I'm good at planning. Well, I say good at planning. It's a bit of a lie. I'm good at organising.
Mm-hmm.
I think organising and planning to me is different. I had to learn how to plan, especially being in that job. But if you give me a plan, I can organise where people need to go. And I remember I got my badge, newbie. And at the time, I was living on the edge of Birmingham in a small town. I used to go to a club. I used to like my little party. I used to like partying. And then the guys were like, do you want to do some security? I don't really care, bro. I just want to keep my nose clean, keep my head down. I don't want to bother nobody. And he's like, nah, I'll sort you out. I was like, all right, cool. And this guy from Coventry used to run the doors there. And then he introduced me and he was like, you got your badge? I says, yeah. He's like, come here Saturday night. I was like, okay, cool. And something kicked off in the club and all the other doormen kind of got a bit heavy. And I was like, no. So I let him go. And I just spoke to the guy. I was like, listen, you're being an idiot. It's like, it can end up one way or the other. My advice is go home. Go home. We all want to go home. You don't want to be in the cells Saturday night. You won't see a judge till Monday. And when he said say that to somebody, they're like, yeah, I don't want to go to the police station. Yeah. I was like, it's you don't want to do that. And then he saw that and then he was just like, I want to make you my head doorman after one shift.
Wow.
He's like, but I want to put you in Coventry. I was like, okay. And it's one of the biggest clubs in Coventry. And you get a lot of the locals and all the uni students and a lot of ego in the clubs. So I was like, all right, cool. And that was a wake-up call. I was like, Jesus, what is this? It was just wild. Everybody, champagne, all of that. And I was just like, oh, God. But I did well there. And then it just went from here to there. The owners wanted me to be there all the time. Became friends with the owners. I brought my brothers in because I was like, can I bring my brothers in and my boys? He was like, as long as they got badges, they can come. So at any one night, I was working with 12 of my family members.
Wow.
Because I was like, if I'm in, you're in. And I feel safe with my family around me. We'd have some other guys that were great guys as well. But yeah, it just went on. And then I started looking after some celebrities because they saw that when they used to come to the club, they were like, I like you. I like the way you work. You're observant. So that hyper observant was working for me. He's like, you're very meticulous. And he goes, you're not heavy handed. He says, there's no need to be. If we have to, then we have to. But we want everybody to go home safe. And it just went from looking after big name DJs to sports stars to them being employed by celebs to be a one-man PPO flying abroad, going with them. So I'd go to the clubs and recce the clubs, entrances, exits, primary, secondary routes, all these things. So that's where I was saying I had to learn to plan. And it just became my thing. And all my life I've been a big guy. I just stick out like a sore thumb all the time. So I was just like, I don't have to do anything but be a presence. And then I realized it's actually a nice industry to work in. and I'd have bants with punters. Like there's one guy that swore to me he wasn't drunk, like couldn't stand still. So I was like, all right, we're gonna do the radio test. And I think everyone was like, you're the first person I've seen do this. And when you turn the radio off and turn it on, it bleeps. So I'm like, I'll put the aerial out, blow into ear, and then if it beeps, you're over the limit. So it literally, as it blow, it go, I promise you, gaffer, and it blow, and I turn the radio on and go, sorry mate, you can't come in. But I'd give him like a couple hours to sober up. I say, go around the corner, go to Dixie's or wherever, get some food, come back, and if you're okay, then I'll let you in. Because I want you to enjoy your night just like I only enjoy my night and go home. But yeah, security was fun. Dangerous but fun.
This episode is sponsored by Vocality, a specially formulated blend of tea for professional voice users. Each ingredient has been carefully selected to help you soothe and take care of your voice. Vocality is naturally caffeine-free, suitable for vegans, and does not contain any artificial flavours or colours. Vocality is the secret to vocal clarity in a cup. Gosh, everything that you have said and everything that you've done, you have been performing your entire life.
We're like one mind this afternoon. Yeah. What strikes me is everything the thing that links all the stories, all the pieces together, is that you or life draws you into positions of visibility.
Mm-hmm. Mad.
Interesting.
And
I never thought of that.
I mean, to have so many brushes with, a very visible life in performing, and then to remove yourself to something that could seem quite anonymous, but then immediately people are picking you up and saying, I like the way this guy works. There's something very magnetic about you and the way you interact with people that keeps pulling you in that direction. Do you think?
Yeah. I never looked at it like that. It's so mad that you said that. Because I'm just like, I'll just crack on. I'll just do me. And it's so mad because it's that same thing where I says I've always just stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Here's my point.
But I never looked at it from that angle. It's funny you say that. And I remember as a kid, so I used to get in trouble in school a lot. I used to always get excluded for silly things, arguing back. And I think it was because I was always inquisitive. And now I know what it is. Back then it was just, you're just rude. You're just disobedient. You're just unruly. But I don't like to do things if I don't understand why I'm doing them. So when I would question a teacher, but that makes no sense. Shut up, get out. I'm like, but why are you shouting? So he would feel embarrassed at me asking, why are you shouting? Or because I wanted to understand. And it's for me, I'm just like, I remember there was an incident in school and you have the year and the year's split into 6 classes. So you'd have like year 7, 8, 9, then you'd have RST, UVW. I was in the second half and I remember this kid they got into a fight in PE and he got battered in the PE department. And he's in that year. I'm in a totally different, we don't have the same lessons. And I got excluded. There was like, who done it? There was like, him. I was just the first name everybody would call. And I was just like, I didn't get it. But I don't know. I think back then it was a bad magnet. I think now it's a nice magnet. Yeah. It's a good magnet.
Yeah.
And again, I also believe it's what I put out in the world. Energy. If I'm walking around with a dark energy, dark things will come to me. Mm-hmm. Karma is a real thing. Trust me, I know. Karma is a real thing. That's why I'm so now just trying to walk in light, love, peace. Like, I don't like negative things, but I don't like, what I do not like is injustice. If I see something that's wrong, I'm going to speak up. And I'll say it in the most polite manner, but that still will be, oh, he was offensive. He was this. But like, I like to call bullshit when I see bullshit. Can I swear? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been dying whole conversation. I'll swear like a sailor, man. But yeah, I was just, and that's, so you saying that, I never thought of it like that. Like I said, it's just me wandering through.
But then you get called back to theatre again.
Yeah.
Or to performance again.
Yeah.
But this time through quite a conventional route in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how was that, to embrace that route?
Tough. Tough. Being a 29-year-old man with a daughter and one on the way, moving to a city, luckily enough, I've got family like in most cities, to a city that I've never moved to, and committing to 3 years, not knowing where money's going to come from, was the first challenge of believing that I could do it. It was tough. And I had to make a decision with my daughter's mum at the time. And I said, you've got your grades. I don't have anything. The last venture I was about to do was going to open a barbershop with my cousin in Luton, because I just went and done a whole year doing men's barbering, and I qualified. And then his money kind of didn't go to plan as it wanted. And I was just like, and then I was like, you know what, I need to get, I'm done. I'm done with all this. And like I says, I signed up to go back to the army, but something was just pulling me. I was just like, nah. Because in my head, I was like, army, stable. I'll travel. I'll have a good job, the discipline. I love all of that. But I was just like, something just kept pulling me back to the arts. And I just couldn't deny it. When they offered me the position, it was a Thursday. I auditioned a Thursday. They gave me the space on the spot. Friday, I went back to Birmingham. Saturday, I packed my things. Sunday, I bought a car and then drove to Manchester the Sunday night to start the Monday, when I should have been enrolling back in the army on the Monday.
Wow.
So in a weekend, and I says to my partner at the time, I says to my daughter's mum, says, you've got your grades. I've got nothing. So I'm going to have to do this with or without you. This is crunch time now. I'd love you to be with me on this journey, but if not, I've got to go. I have to go. And I just knew that my energy and my spirit was bigger than the city. So it's like, I'm in a different trajectory now. I'm going somewhere else. I don't know where I'm going, but something's coming. I was like, I've got to go, because I had another opportunity to go and look after some of the princes in Dubai, offering me $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month $7,000 a month for 6 months. I was like, nice. And then I was like, after that 6 months, what happens? I've done a whole year in drama school. Then what? I was like, thank you. No, thank you. And that's when I started thinking about this journey and proper knuckling down, like, right, I need to be 100% in. And I remember I was homeless for about 2 months, living in my car. I had a BMW 520 at the time, so it was quite spacious. And I was living in the amount of parking tickets I got for parking places I was supposed, I didn't know, because I'd just fall asleep, like just trying to keep up. Like, yeah, I'll set an alarm, wake up, move. And then what I was doing was falling asleep in like Asda car parks in my car. When I'd wake up, I'd go and do the doors, go and park up, do the doors in Manchester, go to the gym with my cousin that lived in Manchester, my brother. I'd go into the gym and I'd try and do as much weights as I could until the changing rooms opened, so I could go and shower, go back to my car, take a kip, go to drama school, go gym, have breakfast at drama school, do my lessons. And that was my cycle every day for like 2 months, till my auntie was like, why don't you just come back and live here? And I was like, I didn't really want, just out of pride, I was like, I didn't really want to ask auntie. And she was like, don't be silly. Because I stayed with her for the first 6 weeks and then got a property. She was like, come back. She's like, come on, son. She's like, stop it. She was like, okay, cool. And yeah, and then ever since then, I just fell in love with theatre, fell in love with screen, because I didn't train in MT. I trained in acting. And yeah, it was just the most amazing experience being at the Arden with teachers. And I remember getting back here. I remember Paul, this guy called Paul Janes, my mate Paul Harrison, who lives here now, and my other teacher, Paul Broughton. And Paul Broughton resonates with me a lot because he used to be in Brookside, and we sat down. He come from the same world I came from, and he was like, "Let me have one chat with you, one chat." And I says, "Okay." I sat down, and he goes, "I just want to talk to you." He's like, "Give me a week. Give me a week, and if you want to leave, I'll let you leave." And we spoke, and he was like, "I just need 1 week. Just give me 100%. I said, "All right, cool." And that was it.
Never look back.
Never look back.
What was it that persuaded you?
He was very honest. He was very honest. He says, people like us, people like you and me, we don't get second chances often. He goes, in the world we come from, people are always waiting to see you fall and fail. Because you have so much talent. He goes, and it's so natural. It's so easy for you. He goes, he always laughs because he was like, "Dino, every time I see Idris Elba, mate, I think of you." I'm like, that was a shit at Liverpool accent. I'm so sorry. But he's like a big guy, and when he talks, there's so much gravitas. I resonated with that because he'd been around all these top like gangsters, club owners, doormen, and and he was just like, "You don't want to throw this away. You don't." I was like, "All right, cool." Marie Critchley sat me down. She was just like, "We have high hopes for you." She goes, "But I understand because you're an adult, you're a mature student with all these kids that don't have real life issues."
Yeah.
So when she said that, I was just like, yeah, it's true. But yeah, I went through and I struggled through, plowed through. I was like, I just want to pass. Just want to pass. Don't care about the grades. And then when their grades came out, because I did a performative dissertation, and I was like, I left thinking, "Oh, this was shit." Absolutely shocking. They was like, "No." And then I left with a first. And I was just like, "What?" They was like, "Bro," my mate was like, "Bro, you got a first, bro." So what the fuck is the first, bro? It's like, "Bro, it's the highest grade." I was like, "Oh, I got a first." I was like, didn't really care, but everyone was just like, "No, you got a first. Like, you should be proud of that." And I was like, fair play. Because I'd never given 100% to anything and come out on top and come out like that. I'd give 80% and still come out on top, but it felt better. It felt deserved. So now when I go into things, I'm always trying to give 100 because I'm so used to giving 80 and still being the best in the room. When I was playing and training with Birmingham City, for all my Villa fans, I'm so sorry I even mentioned that. They're our rivals. And I'll never forget, there was this kid who wasn't the greatest. He was always the first on the pitch. And he's always the last to leave. And I look at him, oh, this geezer's dead, bro. Like, he's all right. Like, and then I'll never forget one of the gaffers says to me, "Do you know why he'll go far? Because he always gives 100%. He goes, the problem with you is, because you walk on here in your fancy boots." He goes, "And you do your job." He goes, "You do your job, and you do your job well." He goes, "But do you give 100% passion? Do you give 100% effort?" Says, but back then I was a bit, "I don't need to though." It's like, "Nah, but you should. You don't need to, but you should. Because if you don't, what's the point in being here?" I was like, "I got you." So that's me now. 100% all times. So what's the point in being here? There's somebody else that wants it more than you.
Yeah.
There's always somebody waiting for my spot. I'm replaceable. But if I give 100%, you can't replace me.
Nobody can replace you.
No, that's for sure. And I'm also going to remember that when we're in sessions and I'm going, "Less, Thomas, less. You don't need to give it that much." I will understand now.
Yeah.
So an amazing theatre career following staying there for 3 years.
Yeah.
How is a life in theatre for you?
Theatre's amazing, you know. Like, yeah, I just get so many memories just flooding back straight away. It's been amazing. It's been a journey. I've had so many up and down experiences, good, bad, ugly. Met some amazing people along the way. But yeah, it's crazy how I've gone from just training in screen and stage to being in MT. And the other day I sat there like an idiot, just talking to myself, like, you have to admit it, you're in MT now.
You've come to the dark side.
Yeah, but surely that was inevitable with the singing career and then the acting. Like, surely they were all going to come together at some point.
This is the thing, yeah. In the audition, when I went to the audition, she was like, you sure you don't want to do MT? I was like, no, thanks. Because in my head, like, you have this stigma attached to MT. And my years of wearing tights were over. Because in athletics, when I'm training, it's just tights, like leggings, like whatever you want to call them, skins. And I was happy with that because it was cool. It had a Nike tick on. You were like, yeah, I'm nice. It's all coordinated. And then I was just like, in my fitting at Hamilton, she was like, yeah, you have to wear tights. I was like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, we have to wear tights. I was like tights with like a side Under Armour on or something like. She was like, no, tights. So it's like, it's come full circle. And like I said, there's that stigma of, ballet and tap. And it's mad because whilst I was on tour in Mormon, I was so amazed by the dance, by the tap dance, by the boys when they do a tap number. And I was like, I bought some block tap shoes just because I wanted Nicole Lillier to teach me. She was like, I'll teach you. And then COVID hit and I was like, because I was like, I want to learn. Like, I want to learn. Hence why I'm with you. I had no singing technique, nothing but R&B. Didn't know about like where to breathe from properly. And so now I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. I need to learn everything because I've got the acting side of things. But what I need to learn is how to, what do they call it? Acting through song, which is a totally different ball game to just acting. So now I'm like, okay, I can't be too much acting because I still have to think about notes, placement, breathing. But yeah, act like theatre. Everyone always says, what do you prefer? And I'm honest, I'm like, I love screen. I love doing screen. But being on stage every night, hearing, and it's so crazy because you come backstage and you start doing this thing. They're a listening audience. They're a listening.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would never thought to see myself in a million years be like, yeah, they enjoy it. Oh, they're a listening audience. Oh, yeah. And just seeing so many faces, meeting so many people. There's some fans, like Mormon fans, they're so lovely that keep in touch even now. And like, I remember I had a chat with one of them and they was like, I don't have anything else. I go to uni, go to work. Like, and my parents do what they do. And this is my thing. This is why she comes to like hundreds of shows. Like see the same show hundreds of times. And she was like, this brings me joy. And that's when I was just like, it's not just about me. It's not just about feeding my kids. It's not about me doing what I love. It's about filling those people that have paid their hard-earned money, filling them with joy for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's about making their day. No matter what I'm going through, for those 2.5 hours, I'm at their disposal. Laugh, cry, boo, do what you want. Whatever it takes for you to get over what slum or for you to keep whatever high you've got going. Theatre's just, it's just a different world. It's just magical, isn't it?
It is.
It's just magical, man. It's just, I can't explain it. When I try to explain to people, I'm like, screen's great, but theatre's different, man.
It's different, yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
Seeing you light up and smiling, so passionate about theatre is
see
just
it all over your face.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about theatre spaces and how you walk into a theatre, there's a energy just about the building before you've even filled it with the audience and the players and all the people who make it happen. there is an energy to that. So when you do add all the other elements, it's
amazing. I remember walking onto a lot of venues that we go to, especially like when we're on tours, and we look around, and I'll always stand on the stage and I'll just take in that space. And it's just like chandeliers, like the Carré in Amsterdam is like our version of the Royal Albert Hall, which I didn't know. I went on a boat cruise, and the gentleman was like, "This is the famous Carré that's lit up in red," and it's like, the saying is, if you ever play the Carré, you've made it in life. I was like, man, I'm here for 5 weeks. And then we went back and did 3 weeks. And just looking at it, you're just like the chandeliers lower and little things like that, the picture you showed me of the theatre.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
about that. So
I just got goosebumps. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was showing Thomas when I was in New York, I had decided to go and visit all the theatres that either had or had a show that I now work on. And I couldn't find the Phantom one because it's being renovated, because Phantom came off last year. And I eventually located it behind all this hoarding and said to a guy who happened to be standing outside, "Excuse me, is this the Majestic?" And he said yes. And I said, fine. And I crossed the road and I took my silly selfie with me outside the Majestic. And he came chasing after me and said, would you like to go inside? Would you like to see inside? And I was like, yes, please. And exactly as you describe, he took me straight in and onto the stage. And I just what he must have thought. I was just spontaneously in tears because it was like a cathedral in there. But to be in that space without anybody else in it, and in its moment of kind of transformation and restoration, God, yeah.
That's awesome.
I hear you when you're talking
beautiful.
about that. Yeah, they're really special spaces, and
Beautiful.
And the connection between people inside them.
Absolutely. But they're also designed to maximize energy.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they're designed for sound, and sound is energy. And so when you go into a space like that, you are literally in a space that is optimized to boost energy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get better than that. It's cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, Thomas, we so need another episode with you, honey. I feel like we haven't even touched this incredible CV. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for
it
having
is
me.
a beautiful story. Really wonderful. Thank you for sharing
Appreciate you both. Thank you.
We have a couple more questions for you.
Let's do these.
Well, I'm saying little ones. I don't know what one of them will be, so we don't know.
This is true.
Might be small, might not be. First of all, we're called the 5-minute call. What do you do at the 5-minute call?
No, you don't ask me that question.
The question has been asked.
Uh-oh.
I'm not even ready.
This is where it descends into chaos.
I'm not even ready. I mean, in all respects, when I was doing Mormon, because I'm not on for 20 minutes, I would still be in my civvies, and everybody, stage management would always crack jokes. They'd be like, "Working stage management tonight, are we, Thomas?" I'd be like, "That's right." But I'd be mic'd and sing the opening R's, and then I'll go upstairs and then get ready. Terrible, aren't I? Other shows where I have to be, obviously, I think I'm doing my last little bits. I'll say my little prayers, have my little conversation with God, and just say thank you for allowing me to be in a position like this. I used to do this thing, like I said, on Mormon tours, where I used to go outside the front of the theatre, and I used to sit and just watch people coming in. I used to just sit and watch it from them opening the doors. I know because I was being at the half, but they just knew it was my thing. And when my bro Marcel White, rest in peace, when he passed, I think I became a lot more, because Marcel was in our industry as well, amazing actor. I became a lot more grateful for what I had, because I knew that if Marcel was here, this is what he loves. He loves theatre. He was the first one out of our brotherhood to do the National. So I always sit and have a chat with Mars, and I'd look at the theatre and then watch the line just get massive. And then I'll be like, okay, let's go. So that was the thing I used to always try to do.
Beautiful.
Love
I think
it.
if you do that on Hamilton, you might not be able to get back.
I know, right?
just to say.
I mean, I've got about 12 pairs of tights to put on. My goodness.
That's really funny. We have one final thing.
Amazing.
We have sort of stolen this from Stephen Bartlett.
Oh no, I had a feeling this was going to happen.
So we ask every guest to write a question for the next guest, and it goes completely unseen until we read it to you.
Mad.
So,
That's so cool.
what's your favourite memory of something that hasn't quite gone to plan?
In live theatre, the one that just came straight to me that everybody laughs at. So there's a line in Mormon where the general comes on, but he's a warlord, and he's, those of you that haven't seen it, it's South Park, so it's very quiet. And he has a line where he says, "So you're telling me that everybody in the village is trying to uprise against me," or something like that. And he talks about female like mutilation, whatever. And I go on stage, and I'm talking in the wings. I'm like, "You ready?" He's like, "Ready, yeah, cool." And I go on stage, and out of nowhere, this light that I've never taken in before hits the corner of my eye, and I look at it, and I've only got like 8 bars or whatever to say this line. And then I look and I go, I don't remember anything. And I'm like, and I remember one word, and I just shout, "Clitoris," and walk off. I walk off. Everybody was like, "Did you just shout?" I was like, that's the only word in the sentence that I remember. I don't remember anything else. I promise, as God is my witness. And when we had, at the end of each year,
Everybody's waiting themselves.
at the end of each year, I'm so sorry, they have like a Golden Plates Awards where there's like things that happened and went wrong. And I was nominated. There was like Thomas's clitoris line. It was a winner. I don't remember it. That was the one word in the sentence that I remembered because I was just lost. I was just like, in an African accent, "Clitoris," and walk off. And I was like, what just happened? It was like, I just buffered. I'm so sorry. What a way to end. I'm so sorry.
My word.
I'm so sorry. You can edit that out, by the way, if you need to.
That is in.
Storming way to end.
That is in. That is the greatest answer to any question we have ever had.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
It's going to make a great TikTok short.
Yeah. That is going to become a new trending sound, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
so
much.
Great.
Thank you, gents.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm done. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the 5-Minute Call. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and ring the bell for notifications. Your support really helps us bring you more amazing stories.
If you are or have been affected by any of the topics discussed in today's episode, please see the show notes below for some helpful resources.